Hello friends, thanks for tuning in. I'm Big Matt, and today we're going to be looking at the TEAC 4300SX reel-to-reel. This is the one that I calibrated in the last video. Today I'm just going to give a quick overview of the controls and indicators on the machine. If you already have one of these 4300SX machines or something similar like the 2300 or the 6300, this video will be sort of boring for you because I'm just going over the controls and indicators for those of you who may be interested in purchasing one of these machines, or you have one and you're not really familiar with all the controls and the different capabilities of this machine. So we're going to start from scratch, take the wheels off of this machine, and we'll load a tape onto it, show you all the connections on the rear of the machine, and just give a general overview of this TEAC 4300SX reel. So right now I have the 4300SX connected to my PC, and I'm monitoring a song from YouTube and listening to it over the Pioneer system you see in the background. I'll show you how to make those connections and how to set up this unit with your receiver later on in this video. Right now we're going to begin with the controls and indicators and connections on this machine. I'm just going to start from the top and work our way down. These two items are the reel tables. This is your supply side and this is your take-up side. This is where you load the tape initially, like you begin to record or play a song. But since this is an auto-reverse unit, it'll also play back in reverse mode. So you could put either side could be the supply side, because it'll play the tape in reverse as well. But just to keep things simple, we'll say this is the supply side. We'll put the supply side reel on the full reel of tape on this side, and then run over to the take-up side to take up the tape as it's being played. This is your supply side tension arm, and this unit is the tape guide. This is your head cover. This is a 4-head unit. You have an erase head, a record head, a reverse playback head, and a forward playback head. And since it's a 3-head unit, at least a 3-head unit, you can monitor the recordings as they're being played back. So you don't have to rewind the tape after you've recorded and listen to it. You can listen to it on the fly. This small piece right here is a capstan. That's what there's a capstan motor in the rear, and it spins a belt that in turn spins the capstan. And this is the small end of the capstan. And when this pinch roller is raised during playback, it squeezes the tape against the capstan, and then the counterclockwise movement of the take-up reel picks up the slack in the tape, and it winds the tape onto the take-up reel. This is your tension arm and also your tape out switch. Normally when you're playing a tape, it'll be somewhere in this position, and it'll go back and forth a little bit. But when you reach the end of the tape, this tension arm drops down, and there's a switch behind here that turns off the machine. That way, if you're playing the tape and it comes to an end, your reels aren't constantly spinning, and again, this just turns off the motors. This is your look. This is the analog tape counter. This is the reset button for the tape counter. This is the power on switch. Counter repeat. This button works in conjunction with the counter. I mentioned this is an auto reverse machine. I haven't really explained how it does that, but take a quick look. You'll see two little metal posts on this tape guide. When you have a tape that you're playing and you have a sensing foil mounted on the end of that tape, when that foil makes contact with those two posts, it puts the unit into reverse. This one has continuous play, so let's say that you're playing this unit in reverse and you want it to go back and play it in forward when it reaches the end of the tape. you'll set your counter switch at 0 at the beginning of the tape as you're playing in the forward direction. And then let's say it goes up to 7,000 or whatever for a 7-inch tape, and it will work its way back down to 0 as you plan it into reverse. Once it gets to 0 in the reverse mode, when you have this switch engaged, the unit will automatically go back into the forward play, and that equates to continuous play on these machines. This is your speed switch. Runs at 3 3/4 and 7.5 inches per second. The first indicator is your record indicator. So whenever the unit is in the record mode, this light will illuminate. This is your pause indicator. This pause light only illuminates when you're in the record mode and you press the pause switch. And this is your keypad. And these are your directional buttons, either forward play and reverse play. When you're in either of those modes, you press this middle button and it'll go into fast wind in the direction that you're currently playing the tape in. It doesn't have a fast forward or a rewind button. You use this fast button in conjunction with these two buttons to achieve fast forward and rewind. Record button, stop button, and pause buttons are self-explanatory. And we'll go back over to this side again. These are your line and mic inputs. It adjusts the level of your microphones, the left and right microphone, and this line input adjusts the line inputs. Let's say you've got an MP3 or another tape deck connected to this machine. This controls the amount of input that goes onto the machine. Right now I have my PC connected to it, and you can see the VU meters moving. If I turn these down, the meters will go down accordingly. Left and right channels. Okay. And these are your VU meters, analog VU meters. Next we have your output select switches for your left and right channels. When they're depressed, we're listening to the source, whatever's coming into the machine. Again, right now my PC. If I go into the tape mode, not only does the music stop, but the VU meters stop as well, because it's expecting us to start playing the tape and monitoring the VU meters, monitoring the tape instead of the source. We'll go back into the source mode. This is your output control, and when you turn it up, it increases the volume coming from the machine. Okay, and then we'll start on this side. This is your mode switches for record enable. This you can record on one channel at a time or both channels simultaneously. Right now we have both those switches enabled. If you have a tape on there that you don't want to accidentally record on, we'll move these two levers down. But we are going to be doing recording today, so we can move them up. Bias and EQ. In general, when it's in position 1, you want to use high bias tape, and when it's in position 2, you want to use standard tape. But what I often say is experiment with both of these switches, and you'll see a difference in them. But it's a personal choice, really. I would experiment with both switches being in both positions until you achieve the best sound that works for you. And I'm going to leave that where it is. This is your meter select. Sometimes you're playing a tape and the output from the tape could be a high, and the meters are reading maybe in the red or whatever, or close to it. You can put this in the down position and the normal position, and it'll knock the VU meter readings down about 3 dB. Seldom use that option, but it works in the play as you're playing back tapes. As we're listening to this music now, if I put it in the normal mode, it doesn't have any effect. Again, it only has any type of impact when you're actually playing a tape. Okay, that's it for the front of the machine. We're going to look at the rear of the unit. And these decals on the side of the machine, they're just some add-ons that I put on there. They're not mounted, they're taped on, and they're not stained or painted. I'm going to let the next owner decide if he wants to put some of these things on there and the design he or she would like to go with as far as the colors for those decals. Okay, we're going to start on the left. This is the chassis ground. Sometimes if you hear a little hum or something like that, when the 4300 is connected to your system, could be a good idea to ground it to your receiver. This is a dummy plug now, but it's also your plug for your remote control. This unit uses an RC140 remote control from TEAC. But if you don't have this in, your functions, your control pad will not operate. So you have to have this thing in at all time, or either have an RC140 remote control connected to it. This is your fuse, power cord. These are your input and output connectors for the TEAC A-4300SX. This unit is equipped with 2 full sets of inputs and outputs, which is very convenient. You can hook up 2 other input devices to this machine. You can also have two outputs connected to maybe a Bluetooth transmitter and your amplifier, however you want to do it. But it's a really neat feature on these 4300SXs. Okay, so right now I have my line input is connected to the output of my PC, and I have the output of this 4300SX connected to a Bluetooth transmitter that sends the signal to a Bluetooth receiver and then on to my Pioneer system that you see in a lot of the videos. If you didn't have it hooked up that way, you could have the input connected to a MP3 player or whatever, or another cassette deck, or any type of input device, and then have your output connected to your receiver or amplifier. Okay, we're going to go back to the front of the machine and go over how to mount the reels. So I mentioned the spindles had self-locking, or excuse me, the reel tables had self-locking spindles. So when we take one of the tapes, simply mount it on the spindle, and once you slide it all the way against the reel table, give the spindle a little turn, and there's a little trident that'll turn also, and that makes those tridents push the tape up against the reel table and secure it to the machine. Do the same thing on the take-up side. And this unit uses 7-inch and smaller reels. Once those guys are connected, you'll take the tape, run it beneath this tension arm, and then over the tape guide. Beneath the heads, and between the capstan and the pinch roller. Okay, now we're going to raise the tape beneath the other tension arm. That's the one that turns the power off when it's in the down position. And there are a couple of ways you can wind the tape onto the take-up reel. A lot of reels have a little slot that you can slide the tape through and bring it down to a little slot, and then kind of just hold your finger in there. And it's okay to have some tape sticking out, but if that bothers you, just reel the supply side in a little bit and take some of that tape in. And once you have to where you can tolerate the visual, just rotate the take-up side until you're able to do this, and then you have the tape loaded. Okay, as I mentioned before, I have a signal going to the machine right now, and you see the meters moving, so we do have a sound going into the machine. I have the output turned down really low, so that's why we don't hear anything. But when I crank it up, okay, and that's because we're in the source mode, we can hear music. We're going to go into the tape mode now, and we're not going to hear anything until I hit play on this on this machine. So hit play now, and I don't know what's on this tape. Well, I did make a recording earlier, some similar music. And fast forward a little bit. Whenever you hear music like that on the tape that you're playing, it means the speed switch is in the wrong position. I must have recorded this at a slower speed. So we'll bring it down to 3 3/4 inches per second. Okay, and since this is an auto reverse unit, if there's any music on the reverse side, we should be able to hear it when we press reverse play. Sounds like a great song to record over. I'm going to record over the whatever I have recorded on the front side right now. And to do that, we want to make sure that our record mode switches are in the up position, and they are. And we want to monitor the input signal that we've got coming into the machine. We can probably bring the input up a little bit. I'm not going to move it over to the VU to 0 dB as I normally would, because the recordings I make with the microphones I'm using, it distorts the sound on these videos, so I try to keep them kind of low, but you get the idea. The line input controls how much signal we're going to be printing onto the tape. The output just controls how much energy we're sending from the tape out to the Pioneer system in the background. Okay, so we're going to begin recording this song, and to do that I'll press record and play at the same time, and we'll go from source mode into tape, and this is the actual recording. There should be another song coming up. Again, right now we're recording at 3 3/4 inches per second. Let's speed it up to 7.5 inches per second. Okay, and I mentioned earlier that the pause switch only works, or the light only works when you're in the record mode. So we'll do that. And we're ready to resume play. Just press the forward play button, and it'll begin recording right where we stopped. Next, I'm going to demonstrate the auto reverse function. Again, when we have some metallic tape or some sensing foil attached to the bottom portion of the tape, that sensing foil will run across those two posts that we saw earlier and short those two posts out, and it'll put the unit into reverse mode. I'm going to simulate that with a screwdriver, or anything metal can do it. So when I'm in the forward play mode, when I short those two posts together, we'll go into the reverse mode. Something smaller, probably. And again, that's just putting a little metal piece between the two posts, and that puts us into reverse. Now, to go from reverse into forward, we're going to set the counter switch, or the counter, to 0, and we're going to pretend that we're playing this song. We've played the tape this way. It's gone into reverse by using the metallic foil, and it's played to the end, and the counter's reached 000, or 4 zeros, and playing in reverse. And at this point, it should go back into the forward mode when it hits 999. And this 4300 is a really nice machine. These units are very durable, easy to repair. Parts are readily available, and overall, it's just a really good unit. So that concludes the lengthy overview of this TEAC 4300SX. These units are very reliable, easy to work on. Parts are readily available. Spare parts are readily available. This is a really durable machine that once you have one that's operational and you use it, let's say once or twice a month, you shouldn't have any problems from these machines, like many of the other reel-for-reels. If you let them sit for too long, that's when you start getting the grease to bind up and parts don't move as freely as they should. But just use these things every now and then, especially a unit like this 4300SX is a very good unit to have. But if you have any questions about this machine, just hit me up below and I'll get back with you as soon as possible. Again, I'm Big Matt, and thanks for watching this video.